Hey everyone, hope you're all well. Today I want to talk about stress and the impact that can have on your mental health. Stress is one of those things I think we just accept is part of modern life, and you hear it all the time, people going, oh, I'm so stressed. And yes, I'm sure people are stressed, but chronic stress and stress that can cause long-term mental health problems is slightly different. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs because it's personal at the end of the day. Everyone's response to every situation is personal. There's something that stresses one person out, another person wouldn't even bat an eyelid. So stress is personal, as is mental health in general. It's all down to your own personal perspective and your own way of framing events. But stress actually is a massive problem for mental health. And one of the reasons is that when we're stressed, we naturally produce a chemical called cortisol. And we need that. We need that to survive. It's all part of natural functioning. But research has shown that too much cortisol, so regular stress, constant stress, can have a really damaging effect on the hippocampus that I spoke about the other day, which is to do with all your memories. So if you're constantly stressed all the time, it will damage that part of the brain. So you will not be able to remember things. You will struggle with recalling memories, which may even mean that you recall them in a different way. So events that may not have been particularly stressful, through this process can become incredibly stressful because you're changing the hippocampus, which is where your memories are stored. You're changing the chemistry in there. So it can have a compound effect and make stress even more and make it really difficult. And so it's very important that people try and manage their stress levels. And I want to talk about it from childhood, really, because I personally look back at my childhood with immense fondness, and I don't remember feeling particularly stressed at the time. But if I really dig deep, I can remember certain events that were stressful or upsetting. And there will be children in schools right now who are producing so much cortisol in their system because they're feeling stressed. They may have a horrible home life. They may have parents who are struggling with addictions. They may have domestic violence going on at home. They may just not be coping with the school structure if they have particular learning issues that schools aren't able to cater for, and they're producing all this cortisol, which is damaging their brain and forcing them and basically stopping them from being able to store memories and recall. And then they get in more trouble because the teacher will ask them a question, and because their memory is not great, they won't be able to answer, and then they'll think that they're not listening, and we're just going to increase the stress, and it goes on and on and on. And we create a long-term problem for these children because we don't understand the impact that stress has on our body. And we tend to think that children are immune to stress, and they are not at all. Think about what some children are going through. Your children might be going through stressful situations. We try and protect our kids as much as possible, but parents separating, moving house, moving schools, even if it's just a natural change, a natural transition from junior to senior school that everyone has to go through. These are all times of increased stress for children. And when we're under stress, we produce cortisol. Too much cortisol makes our memories fade. And then we get in more trouble because we can't remember. And so we need to be aware of that as parents, as teachers, as whatever role we play in our children's lives. We need to be aware of these things. We need to be aware that they do feel stress. And stress does have a massive impact on the chemistry in their body. If you think about it as well, you're chemically affecting things that should be in their prime development. Children, particularly between 0 and 5, but even after that, their development is going through such a precise process that you add something, too much cortisol and stress, you're going to affect their whole development. And so it's so important that we have these conversations, and it's important that we don't ignore it. stress is a natural part of life, and you can't eliminate all stress. We need to be teaching our children how to cope with stress. We need to be making transitions between schools much easier than it is right now. If you think about it, a child that's been used to the same cohort for such a long period of time, they suddenly change to another school where not everyone will necessarily go to that school. They might lose some friends. They're certainly going to have to be surrounded by people they don't know and who may already have their friendship groups. That's a lot of stress for a child to go under. And we tend to not really pay much attention to that. We know that it's going on, but we don't necessarily realise how badly that may be affecting them. And this responsibility falls on everyone. It falls on teachers at both schools to make sure that they're visiting, that they are learning, they're meeting people that they're going to be in the year group with. Maybe they have a mentor in the year above them who can talk them through it, show them that it's okay, it works out all right in the end. There's lots of things we can do, but not every school is doing that. As parents, we need to be aware throughout that summer holiday, or even for that entire year before, we need to be talking to them and checking, are you okay? How does it feel? Are you feeling a bit anxious about it? What can I do to help? What can I do to relieve your anxiety? What can I do to reduce your stress levels? And they're just the obvious things. I'm not talking about cases where, like I say, you might have parents with drug addiction who mum looked like she died. Imagine the stress of that, and then having to go to school and have a teacher shouting at you because you can't concentrate. It's unfair. And whilst I'm not being nanny state or anything like that, I'm not saying that we don't have children with bad behaviour. Of course we do. But I think that it's always important to bear in mind the environment that they're in, what's going on for them at any particular time in their life, and that's why it's important that there's good home and school relationships, so that home feel confident to be able to say to school, look, me and their dad are going through a really rough time at the moment, and I think it's going to have a knock-on effect, so that teachers can be more aware of that and more supportive. And equally, schools can go back to parents and say, I feel like there's something not quite right. Can you think of anything? We'll keep an eye on it. That kind of thing. Those conversations need to be had. As adults, if we don't learn them those coping strategies as children, we then don't know how to deal with it as adults, and so it has a generational impact. So if you're an adult now watching this and weren't taught how to deal with stress, you probably really struggle with it. I don't deal particularly well with stress, but stress happens, and you try and do your best with it. For me, things that I found that have helped, I take my dog for a walk. That getting out in the fresh air does me good. Getting a good night's sleep, which I know when you're stressed is one of the hardest things to do. Nice warm milk, relaxing music. I find listening to really relaxing music helps me. Not going on your devices too late at night, which I'm sure we're all guilty of. But those sort of things really help me manage my stress. I also find writing. Some people find listening to music, dance, whatever it is. We all have our own built-in coping, and we need to be digging into them. When we're feeling stressed, it's important that we try and stop that, because a lot of people spiral. They'll start off with one thought, and it will gradually, that thought will become another one, which is even worse, and then even worse. Before you know it, the washing machine breaking down has become the world ending. And so if we can recognise our stress levels, there's physical changes in our body when we're experiencing stress. Your heart rate might increase, your blood pressure could even drop, you could feel shaky. There's lots of physical symptoms that you can notice your own stress levels, and try and introduce something. As soon as you notice those symptoms, then go for a walk, or take a bath, or listen to some music, or read a magazine, whatever it is that helps you. Try and introduce it at that initial stage when you first notice the symptoms coming in. Because what you're also doing through this is not only helping yourself, but you're helping people around you, particularly children. You are modelling how to cope with stress, and this will help them when they're feeling a bit agitated. They'll know, when mummy felt like that, what did she do? Or when daddy felt like that, what did he do? And they will follow and they will find their own coping mechanisms. So there we go. Those are my brief tour of stress and mental health. I would love to know what your thoughts are. And please do share anything that you found that helps you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.